So my nearly adult female parents recently came into a fair bit of money, inheritance from one of my mom's elderly relatives, I think, and decided to buy out a local ice cream shop that was going out of business. They loved that place because it's where they met and has tons of sentimental meaning to them. They also hired my 18-year-old brother to work there because they wanted him to have job experience before going to college. They didn't offer to hire me, and I didn't ask because I already have a fast food job. Anyway, my house is close to the shop, and my friends and I decided to meet up there yesterday for ice cream and hang out. For reference, we're a group of 4 high schoolers. It was busy, so we got in line. About a minute in, our brother came out of the back and waved me over. He handed me an apron and asked me to help out his coworker in the back because they had to clean the machines ASAP. But my brother had to open a second register because of how busy it was. I refused because I wasn't being paid, and he said I had to help out because it's the family business and because of how swamped the place was and how panicked his coworker was. He even offered to let my friend skip the line if I helped out for 10 minutes to give his coworker a hand, and he said I owed it to him to help out because I brought such a big group in. I decided that would cause a scene in a packed shop and refused again. He huffed and waved me off, then went to open the second register. I returned to my friends, and the rest of our meetup went well, but my brother kept giving me dirty looks until we got our cones and left. Later that night, my parents confronted me and said that what I did was petty. They told me to work a shift the next day to make up for it, but backed off once I reminded them that I had an actual job and that I was scheduled to work all day the next day. I ended up getting off scot-free. However, my whole family maintains that I'm petty and lazy, and now I'm wondering if they're right. So, am I the idiot? I didn't want to put this info in the first place since I didn't want to seem biased, but he has a history of abusing my help, as I've always been more hardworking than him. It happens all through middle school. I do my homework and then help him with his, basically do it for him. When he was in his freshman year and I was still in 8th grade and he still came to me for help, I finally grew a spine. I've been opposed to helping him with anything at all since then. Not the idiot. Holy moly. This is one of the most black and white situations I've ever seen. If your brother was just working to support the business, not taking salary, then I can see how your family could expect you to step up and contribute. But he gets paid, and your family expects you to work for free. I think slavery was abolished, 200 years ago? I don't understand why he didn't just say he'd pay you for the 10 minutes of help. Feels like an obvious solution. You still wouldn't have to. You were with friends, and also it wasn't really an emergency, just busy. It doesn't sound like something unexpected happened. Yes, I agree, but I doubt it actually would have been 10 minutes. 10 minutes is never 10 minutes in this situation. It would end up being an hour minimum. I speak from experience. The bottom line is you don't have to work if you're not getting paid. You're not an employee. You have no obligation to that shop. If your parents wanted someone to help your brother, they could have come in themselves. And her brother, she owes him help for bringing in a large group. I'd get my ice cream somewhere else in the future. OP, good for you to stand your ground, and don't let your family gaslight you, twist your words, or turn the tables if it comes to any of that. Even family businesses have to pay employees when it's their kid. You're not trained for it. Also, it sounds like your family is nuts, but they bought a failing ice cream store. Of course they're nuts. I want to clarify, my aunt has no food allergies or any reason to be on a diet. She has said she diets out of her choice, with no dietary reasons or religious reasons. My family was planning a whole family dinner, as we've not had one for a while, ever since the start of the global issue, the sickness of both my grandparents and my grandfather's death last year. I just recently moved into our new home with my wife, and because of it, our family decided I should host the dinner. We willingly accepted, and we're both super excited about it. This dinner would be the first big family dinner without our grandfather, who was a big pillar in our family, so it was extra special. And my wife is also pregnant, and we were hoping to tell them at dinner. On the day of the dinner, we decided to do a big barbecue. We handled the barbecue meats and some sides, while our family would bring desserts and sides or come help us cook. We had a large group chat with all my family where we spoke about what each of us was making or bringing before the day of the dinner. My aunt had kept it a secret, as many of my other family members did, which was fine, as we all quite love a secret cake. Everyone had arrived, minus my aunt. She was normally late, but we didn't want to eat cold food. We sat at the food on the table and let the kids start eating slowly and waited on my aunt. Eventually, she did come half an hour after the time to be here. Most of the family had just started to eat. When she arrived, immediately there was tension. She complained that I had made barbecue as she was now vegan. Mind you, the barbecue was not a secret. I made it clear what we were having. Then she began to complain about the food other people had brought, as they too were not vegan friendly, minus some salad. Then she began to berate me for my selfishness and not accommodating her, and said that this was a hate crime against her and her lifestyle. It annoyed many of us who had waited for her, especially my poor grandmother, who just wanted our family to be civil. She normally causes quite a lot of trouble at these things, but with how significant this dinner was, I had hoped she'd not make a big deal out of this. I really couldn't believe she pulled out the minority card for us being vegan, so I just ended it and ushered her to the door so we could at least talk. Her ex-husband went after me and was there to help me. I told her plainly that she never warned us, and she knew the plans and had no right to be upset. Then I said it would be best if she left. She was shocked, as this was one of the first time anyone of our family fought back so aggressively. She left, but not without shouting at how ungrateful and selfish we all were. Am I the idiot for kicking her out? I could tell my grandma was upset, and my mom pulled me aside after dinner and told me I was out of line for disrespecting an elder. Edit. She flips between diets frequently. She recently went gluten-free, but made a big display out of ending her gluten-free diet by making bread and posting about how she's cleansed and could eat bread again. Not providing vegan food for someone you didn't know was vegan, who has been told that the dinner was a barbecue, then showed up late, whining that their unknown dietary preferences were not accommodated, was a hate crime? Tell her your crystal ball was in the shop and you're sorry you couldn't predict her next fad diet. Not the idiot, obviously. Even if you had known, you wouldn't have been obligated to change your planned menu, though it would have been kind to reach out and ask if she'd like you to pick up a pack of vegan burgers or hot dogs to grill for her, on a separate grill mat or microwaved, depending on how strict she was. Sounds like she's someone who loves to have people dance to her. I'm so sick of entitled people acting like they deserved every demand to be met, with or without notice. Your aunt may be your elder, but she acted like a child. You don't have to accommodate temper tantrums. She did it on purpose to make a scene, and she waited an extra half hour to arrive to ensure everyone saw her explosion. Unfortunately, she's not used to people standing up to her, and you put her in her place. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Keep standing up to the squeaky wheel because she's used to running roughshod over the family. My nearly adult female, mom and stepdad, are currently not talking to my stepbrother. He just graduated from college. He invited all the siblings to go, but not our parents. My mom said we couldn't go because they weren't invited. I wanted to go though. I have my own car, and I don't think my mom's disagreements should impact my life. The day before graduation, I packed a bag to drive over while my parents were at work. My siblings, teen, and tween, also wanted to go and begged me to take them. I wasn't sure because I didn't know where we would sleep. I was planning to sleep in my car. They said they deserved to go, so I caved and brought them. We ended up all sleeping in my brother's room. My parents called when they got home. My mom demanded we return. I said not until after graduation. She said she'd get my brother arrested, but my stepdad said we could come back the next day, but I was in trouble. We did come back after graduation, and we were all grounded. My mom said I was a disrespectful brat, but I should be able to go wherever I wanted in my own car. even if I wasn't quite 18. She said she would take the car away, and I said fine, but I'm not driving my siblings to school or anywhere else, including my youngest brother's summer camp. My stepdad said to stop being an idiot and apologize to my mom. So am I the idiot? Edit. I don't know why they're not talking. They're always fighting about something. It started right after he broke up with his girlfriend, which could be related to that. My stepdad's father also isn't talking to my parents right now, which is a lot less common. So maybe he's just siding with his grandkid? Also, I had to take the 9-year-old brother. If we all went and left him behind, the little demon would have gone feral. My stepbrother lives 4 hours away. He was very happy to see us. Not the idiot. It's very sad to have to celebrate a milestone like a college graduation without your family. I'm glad you and your siblings went to support your stepbrother. I hope you all had an amazing time together. Sounds like you have a strong relationship, which will serve you all well as adults. Keep loving and supporting each other. Whatever happens between your brother and parents is between them. They can't drag your siblings into it. I'm glad you all got to go to your brother's graduation. I understand why you went, but you're an idiot for taking your minor siblings without your parents' permission. They could have sent the cops after you if they wanted. You didn't even have anywhere to sleep, and probably very little money. If something had happened, you would have been responsible. I don't agree with Mom. She should have let you go. But your solution wasn't smart either. Did you earn your grounding? Yes. So, it's everyone's the idiot. I'm going to say that you were lucky your stepfather said it was okay and called your mom down, because that could have been a whole mess. I got the sense that stepdad was secretly happy that his bio son had his siblings attend. My other vibe is that OP's mom is the one with the issue, and stepdad is the enabler via the apologize to your mom dealie. This really sounds like an LGBT issue. Sudden relationship change, fight with parents about it, so upset all contact is cut with them, and then top it off with the grandparent also being upset. Sounds like someone came out as bi, whatevs. Parents did a, you're a demon and belong in the bad place reaction. Bro cut the toxic family off. Stepdad's father is ashamed of his son's reaction and is supporting his grandson. So I recently adopted a wonderful sweetie of a shelter cat named Millie. That's the name the shelter gave her. I thought it suited her, and she responded to it, so I didn't change it. The other week, my pregnant cousin, Carrie, who I'm moderately close to, posted a list of potential baby names on her social media, and Millie was on the list. I commented to remind her of my cat's name, and she DM'd me to ask me to change Millie's name because she and her fiancé really liked that name for their daughter. I refused because my cat had her name first, and Carrie called me selfish for valuing a stupid cat over her daughter. I told her that my cat's not stupid and that I wouldn't mind if her baby shared a name with my cat, but if it was an issue for her, she could choose a different name. She called me selfish again and said she had to go. I was conflicted, so I went to my sister, a mother herself, so I hoped she'd offer some perspective, and she said that she understood where I was coming from, but that babies should come before pets. She said it would really be kind of me to change my cat's name, and that she knows how important a couple's dream name is. Now I'm more confused than ever. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but consider changing the cat's name to Carrie. My brother adopted a dog with the same name as our sister. He called her to make sure it was okay and asked if she'd prefer the dog had a different name. And she was like, why? My name is awesome. There should be more of us in the world. So it's pretty obvious when someone's talking about a person versus an animal. If it's in a list of potential names, calling Millie the dream name is a bit of a stretch. Also, Millie is super common, and nothing stops them from naming their daughter Millie. How much is this kid even going to be around this cat? How is this even an issue at all? The cat already had this name. Why change it? Your cousin isn't thinking about this with a clear head. Two beings can have the same name, and the universe will not implode. Keep your cat's name. My female 29, sister Meg, 25, mentioned many times that she wanted to visit one particular town in the southern part of our country. What's important for the story is that the town in question is always full of tourists, and lines to museums, restaurants, and everywhere are very long. In summer, you have to reserve tickets to some places a long time before your trip if you want to visit them all. Personally, I don't like overly touristic places. Still, Meg's previous visit to a given town went poorly, and it remained an unfulfilled dream of hers. So I decided to take her for a weekend trip there on her birthday at the very beginning of June. I told her beforehand that I'll pay for the hotel, train, and some of the tickets or restaurant bills, but she had to make a list of places she wants to see so I can make a reservation. I gave her a deadline so I could make reservations, etc. The deadline came and I asked her if she had the list ready. She hadn't. No biggie. I gave her a few additional days, but still nothing. Eventually, I booked some places I found interesting. Some were no longer available anyway. In the end, she didn't give me a list at all. We went for a trip and saw the things I was able to book, or we were able to see without reservations. But what upset me was that even when we reached our destination, she still didn't really know what she wanted to see. She only twice during the trip mentioned that she was interested in seeing something. Both places were unavailable or had very, very long lines. All the time her behavior was like, meh, anyway, even though it was her who constantly mentioned visiting this town in the last 3 years. I felt as though I was babysitting and forcing a toddler to see things she wasn't interested in. I also want to mention that I don't earn much, and the trip, even for only a weekend, was hard for my budget, especially as I paid for almost everything. Eventually, I snapped at her that if she has no idea what she's doing here, she shouldn't constantly mention the place, as she can sit in her room and play on her phone at home instead of in this town. I also mentioned that I'll never again plan any trip for her if she doesn't want to contribute in any way. Now she's mad at me because I apparently ruined her birthday, and she doesn't need to plan to have a good trip. I didn't want her to plan every second of the trip, only an outline, so I was able to make reservations. Am I the idiot? I would say not the idiot. While I understand not wanting to have a trip planned down to the second, with this kind of place that's very touristy and typically requires reservations, you need to at least have an outline of what you want to do, just so you can make the proper reservations. And if I were you, I'd probably be upset by your sister's meh attitude too, especially if she's been talking about this for 3 years, and then when it happens, nothing. Agree. Sounds like OP very thoughtfully tried to make this a memorable birthday for her sister, but Sis was basically being a dead fish. I would love to hear Sis's side. Like, what was wrong? Why did she act so meh? How can this place possibly be her dream when she apparently knows nothing about the place and doesn't have a list of places she wants to see? I'm also planning my dream holiday for next year. I've wanted to go for years, but my difficulty is cutting out things I want to do and go to, as I only have a limited time to visit. I disagree. OP, this was her trip, and you ruined it by trying to force her to see things she wasn't interested in. You are the idiot. You sound so much like my sister. It's wild. I was so excited that I was offered a trip overseas for my graduation gift one year. I had cities and neighborhoods I wanted to explore. Still, I just wanted to wander and see where I ended up, and pop into stores that I thought were interested, eat where it looked good, and take my time. 2 days in, my sister yelled at me at a restaurant for not having an outline of places to go to. Another day in, I was told she had made plans, and I couldn't do my own thing because this is a family vacation too. A lot of other things happened on that trip that made it a miserable experience for me, but suffice it to say that she ruined what was supposed to be a celebration for me with her attitude. While I understand your frustration, it sounds like you didn't discuss this much with her beforehand and just told her what you expected based on your planning preferences. You're not compatible travel companions.